Hi guys, Jeb here at Conestoga Manufacturing. Today we're going to be spreading some manure. You'll have to forgive the sunlight we're working with. It's a beautiful day, so we're thankful for that. Right here we have a triple beater spreader. One of the things that we get asked a lot of the times is how does ours compare with a triple beater? A lot of times ours comes standard with the one beater and then you can add a second. I want to point out on this spreader, this is a New Holland, and I want to say before I get into this, we love New Holland spreaders. They do a great job. There's no quirks that we have with New Holland. This is just what we had available to show the differences. This spreader here has tines, like fingers, that are going to rotate in here and in here. They're going to bring it towards the back, and then you've got your actual beater that's going to spin and throw it side to side. Ours is compacted where we have teeth on the end of our beaters for that rooster comb beater paddle. So a little bit different design. I'm not saying that one is the original way. This is probably the first one that was made as far as that goes. But we just have started out and have been using the rooster comb paddle just because that's what we prefer. Seems to do a good job of chopping and spreading at the same time. So we've got some pen pack in here. I've got this nice John Deere up here that we're going to run. We're going to run it on the tarp and check out what kind of a pattern it leaves. So, get a little throttle here. I'm going to pick second gear. Spread a pass right here. You can see the tarp. This is a 40-foot tarp, and we've got pretty good coverage. I'm going to try to keep my shadow out from one side to the other, which is great. You can see we're just on the farm here. Nothing fancy today. One thing that I do want to point out is you've got this heaviness in the middle, right about where my hand is. Other than that, you've got a wide spread with random chunks out here, which throws that far, and then a little bit of heavy in the middle here, and I'm going to walk across it to show you what we have. And then again, we've got some chunks out here, so throwing really wide, the main thing that we find is that the stuff that's thrown wide are little bitty chunks. So it depends on the coverage that you're looking for as to what this one will do for you. Now we've got the 80 lined up, so this is just a smaller one than what we were using, and obviously it's one that we make here. We've got our rooster comb beater paddles here. We also have a top beater mounted, so I'll be testing with the top beater and without the top beater. This is a pen pack manure, and you can see how high it's heaped. Henry loaded it with the skid loader and got a little carried away there, which is no problem for the spreader, but what you see is that top of the pile needs that top beater to clean it off and make sure it's spread consistently. So I'm going to jump on, give it some throttle, and take off. We're going to see. Now remember, this spreader is smaller by scale, but what we're looking at is the spread pattern that we're left with. Not even necessarily how wide, but how consistent, how even, and ultimately the consistent width that we're going for. So I'm going to jump on the tractor and spread some manure. Whew, that's a heavy coating. And let's look at the pattern. This is pretty heavy. Definitely heavier than we had with the New Holland. And I'm gonna try to show you the whole thing here. Definitely not as wide. This is the 40-foot tarp, but I'm gonna say we've got about half the tarp coverage, between a third and half, because we've got a little bit on this side that's not covered, and then it looks like the wind was headed this way. And as I'm walking down, you can see the consistency. Now this is spread a little bit heavy. This was setting 2, and I probably should have driven faster. That's my fault. I wasn't sure quite what we'd be looking for, but definitely more consistent. You have less of the thin spot, heavy spot. You have more of a heavy spot, and then very thin over here, just a few chunks dangling for you. We weren't completely satisfied with speed 2, so I've changed it down to speed 1. That'll feed the beaters a little bit slower, so it's a thinner spread, and I'll keep my tractor speed up so it's closer to the John Deere, and we'll see what kind of results we get. It should be thinner than speed 2, so that'll help it to be more consistent to what the John Deere is spreading. I hope you like the speed up and then slow down at the end. It's like a little drag racing strip here that we're using. So here, this is where I started out, so that's why there's that chunk there. But as I got going, forgive the shadow, you can see thin spread, consistent. So we've got over to here the light stuff, consistent across the floor of the, basically where the spreader would be passing. And then a little bit of light stuff over here as well. So very nicely chewed, fine, consistent stuff. A couple of chunks that slip through here and there, part of life. But a very nice spread. It's a different day right now. I'm dressed a little warmer. It's a little colder. We ran out of time the other day. That's pretty typical around here. So I've got a 125 here behind the John Deere with a single beater. So we're going to see how the single beater compares to the triple beater and the double beater, just to see, you know, how does it line up? What kind of action do you get? Still pen pack manure. It's from the same pile. So we'll see. We've started flowing a little bit here, so that's what the mess is. I'll jump on and then we'll spread the tarp and see what kind of pattern we get. A little bit of commotion going on here. Hopefully you can hear good. So I've spread a little bit on the tarp here. Forget the construction going on in the background. And you can see the pattern that we've got. So similar to the 80, you've got consistency all through here. There's equipment everywhere, so hopefully you can hear me well. You've got consistency that you're working with, spread out to in this range of the tarp. So not as far as the other one, but as far as the shred pattern, nice and fine, and very, very consistent. It's definitely one of the things that we found with this spreader is you get a little bit more of a consistent coverage back to back while you're spreading. Looking for a conclusion here, you can see there's not necessarily a right or wrong way of doing this. Each of the spreaders did a good job, spread that pen pack manure no problem. It's more of a question of what are you actually looking for your results. We prefer our rooster comb beater paddles. They're more of a consistent stripe pattern. So you're not throwing as far, but you're also not getting those random chunks thrown as far. It's much more of a consistent path thrown behind the spreader. For our system, maybe having the top beater on top of the bottom beater would be the best solution for this really tough to chew manure. Though either option would work and do a good job. You can see that top beater just does a good job of assisting and breaking down everything. Hopefully this was helpful. Again, not to knock New Holland spreaders or any others out there, just looking to show the differences and how they work and why we've gone with our rooster comb beater paddle design. Hope it's helpful. Thanks.